Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Patek Philippe 24 automatic reference 7300/1200R-010 rose gold with a silver dial. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of this watch, then compare it to the rest of them in its lineup, then talk to you about the case, bezel, dial, bracelet, movement, try it on, and finally give you my thoughts. So let's start. This watch, let's start with the history. The watch is a 24. It's actually spelled out Twenty, the 20 spelled out, and then with the number 4. Why exactly they call it like this, I'm not entirely sure, but they do. So it's the Patek 24, but when the Patek 24 first came out in 1999, it was in a rectangular shape, and it looked kind of like the Tank Francais of Cartier. And you might be wondering, what does the 24 in a rectangular shape have to do with this circular one in also called 24? Well, not much actually, except maybe the bracelet. So when it first came out, it was in a rectangle and it was only in quartz. And in fact, right now it's still only in quartz when it's in a rectangular shape. It did very well for Patek, and that coming out in 1999, it's already been 24 years since, or 25 years since the first 24 came out. And then in 2018, the circular version of the 24 came out, and those, which is what you're looking at here, are automatic. Now you might be wondering what they have to, why would they still call it the same thing? Well, the 24 is sort of an everyday watch for Patek Philippe, and the reason that they had to change it from the rectangle to a circle is because the circular one has an automatic movement, and to have an automatic movement, it needed to be a circle. It could not be a square. They don't have a square automatic movement for, they couldn't do that. So they had to make the square one quartz and the circle one automatic, which is not a terribly bad thing. Okay, so that's a little bit about the history. It hasn't been out a long time, but it's a still very nice one. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about where this one stands in the lineup. Now, Patek has released the 24 with rose gold, which is what you see here, and they've also done it in steel. In steel, they've done it in black, blue, green. And then in rose gold, which is what you see here, you see this silvery dial, or you can also call it white. They also made it with a chocolate dial, and they also made it with this golden or champagne dial. And they also make another variation of it, which has diamonds on the bracelet. Okay, but for right now, we're talking about this one. So that's where it stands with the rest of them in the lineup. Okay, all right, now let's move on to the case. The case of this watch is a very comfortable 36 millimeter. Now, to give you some reference, that for women, that would be considered large, because for example, on Rolex, they make a 28, 31, and 36 millimeter, which is small, medium, large. For Patek, they don't make any other size in the 24 if you want it in the circular 24 automatic. So it's got to be this diameter of 36 millimeter, which is kind of large, to be honest, for women. But a large watch is in fashion. And if you want smaller watches, they do make them. They just don't make them on a bracelet like on the 24. Okay. So anyways, okay, so the diameter is 36 millimeters. And let me turn it on its side so that you can see the height. The height is important because it allows the watch to fit under your cuff, and it also makes it less bulky. The height is a nice slim 10 millimeters. To give you some reference, Datejusts from Rolex are about 11, so this is just a tiny bit thinner. So I could compare this to like a 36 millimeter Datejust. It wears about the same. Okay, and okay, so that's it for the case. The case itself is made out of rose gold, as you can see here. All right, now let's move on to the bezel. Now the bezel is quite nice, and what makes this watch a woman's watch for me is going to be this diamond bezel. Now, if this actually had a different kind of bezel, it actually can be worn by men. But with this bezel being all diamonds, it really feminizes the watch. It makes it really only for women. Okay, and the number of diamonds here are 160. Now, if you look closely at the bezel, it's actually 2 rows of diamonds. So on other or most watches, let's take example the Rolex Datejust. When they put a diamond bezel on there, they only do one singular row of diamond bezel. Why exactly? I would just guess that it's a little bit easier. But Patek Philippe being, the king of all watches, they want to do the hardest and most difficult way. So they put actually 2 rows of diamonds. So, and I think it looks quite nice. It makes the bezel look very pave diamond. Okay. All right, but interestingly, it does not really have that much carat weight of diamonds. It's actually only 0.77 carats. So it's actually less carat weight than the Rolex Datejust, which is a little bit over 1, but it actually appears bigger. So they get more diamonds, looks like more diamonds, but it's actually less diamonds. Okay, at any rate, it's a very nice bezel. Let's move on to the dial here. Now, Patek Philippe calls this dial silvery or silver. To me, I would just call it white. Yes, it is silver, but it's a lot easier. It just looks white to me. And what is interesting about this dial is leave it up to Patek Philippe to not just do a basic white dial. That would be too boring. So if you look carefully, you'll actually see vertical and horizontal satin finishes on this dial. It kind of looks, as Patek calls it, a wild shantung silk scarf, which it just kind of looks like a fabric dial. It's very interesting, right? Usually on a dial, you'll have a sunburst dial or just a flat colored dial. It'll be flat white or flat black, flat blue, whatever it is. It'll be flat. But in this case, it actually kind of looks like it's a cloth behind there when it's actually metal. So what they do to get this vertical and horizontal satin finish, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure they do something very nice. And the result is what you see here. Okay. Now it also has luminescence, so if I shine the light at it, you can see. We see the time at night, which also makes it very practical. Okay, so let's move on to the bracelet here. Now the bracelet, I actually really like the bracelet. It's also rose gold and it has a fold over clasp. Now what I like about this bracelet is that it's very fluid. It's very actually, if you compare it to the Rolex bracelet, like for example a Datejust oyster bracelet, it's also very fluid. But the Patek Philippe bracelet is just, I would have to say, it's like on another level. It's very fluid. It also looks very nice. And they keep the whole thing, instead of like part of it satin finish, part of it high polish, they just keep the whole darn thing all high polish, which is it's an interesting choice, and it's nice. I like it. Okay, so that is the buckle. All right. Now let's move on to the movement here. Now this is kind of a big deal because the movement is automatic, whereas I told you earlier, the buckle, the 24 that is derived from is actually quartz. So the quartz is a rectangle, and this one's a circle. So they put this nice movement inside. It's their standard movement. It's a 324 SC movement. It's not really any special movement, but it's their standard movement that tells just time and date. It doesn't really need to be special movement. It looks nice. It's a Patek Philippe movement. It has all the bells and whistles you expect from it. So there you go. It has a power reserve of 35 to 45 hours. Call it 40 hours. It's pretty standard. So anyways, you can see it. I mean, what else is there to say? It looks really nice. Okay, now I guess that brings us to the end. Let's go ahead and try this watch on. I'm a man. This is a woman's watch, but at least you can see what it looks like. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and I'm 200 pounds. So you probably are much smaller than me, and so it's going to look much better on you. Now, at least you get an idea. Now, what are my thoughts on this? I think that Patek really knocked it out of the park when it comes to this everyday watch that's automatic. I definitely would say I prefer this one over the rectangle. Why? Because this one's an automatic movement, and me having a love for watches, and hopefully you do too, can appreciate that an automatic movement is superior to a quartz movement. Now, you have the option of getting it in steel or gold. I think both have their strong points. Let's make a case for it to be made in gold. And I think this is a great watch at a great price. Why? Well, let's put it this way. The retail price on this watch is around 50,000. We're selling it at jazztime.com between in the 40s. So sometimes it's selling in the low 40s, sometimes in the mid 40s, depending on color, availability, etc. So you can really get a really nice watch from a premier watchmaker, the premier watchmaker, at not much more than what a gold Datejust would cost you. Like a gold Datejust, actually the gold Datejust would cost you more or less the same. Actually, a day date, now I take it back, a day date 36 will pretty much cost you about the same thing, or close to 40 grand. So it's not much different for a Patek Philippe. And so you can have something a little bit more original, a little bit, there's a lot less of them, and it's just as beautiful, if not even more beautiful. And I would say that Patek Philippe even has a bigger name, at least in the prestige department, not bigger in terms of volume, sales, and what else. But in terms of prestige, Patek is a more prestigious brand than Rolex. But Rolex it's done better than Patek. But anyways, my point here being that it's a very good value for what it is. So anyways, if you'd like to buy this watch, click on the link in the description below to buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.